Hi, I'm Gina and I'm going to be teaching you how to make the perfect homemade chocolate chip cookie. Now, first of all, there's some steps that you need to take before you start cooking, and that will be washing your hands, preheating your oven to 350 degrees, and making sure you have all your ingredients measured out properly. That's really important because in baking, if an ingredient is measured out wrong, you could end up with cakes that look like soup or cookies that look like bricks. So, just to be safe, make sure everything's measured out ahead of time. Now, I've got all of my ingredients measured out, my hands are clean, and my oven's preheated. So, let's get to cooking. You're going to start by using the creaming method with baking, which includes creaming your butters and your sugars. So, for chocolate chip cookies, we are using the Nestle Toll House Original Recipe. You use 2 sticks of butter softened. So, by softening them, you can just leave them out at room temperature for a little while, and they will get to where you need them to be. So you just put them in your bowl. And then you add your brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, and 3/4 of a cup of regular granulated sugar. Now, you're going to cream these together until they are combined, but you do not want to overmix. That's very important with cookies. Alright, so we're back, and we have our creamed butter and sugar with our mixer. And next you're going to add your eggs and vanilla. It's best to add them together because otherwise, well, for me, I tend to forget the vanilla. And you're going to add your eggs one at a time. And you should crack them into a separate bowl to make sure you don't get any shells in your cookie dough. You can also add your vanilla to your eggs. That way they get combined in evenly. So, we're going to add our eggs one at a time. Alright, so let's take a look at this dough. It's a little bit looser than when we showed it to you after the butter and sugar because we just added liquid and stabilizers to it. The next thing we're going to do is add our dry ingredients. And our dry ingredients you want to add together into the flour. Everything that is your baking soda, which is a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt, into 2 1/4 cups of flour. Now I'm going to take this to the side and sift it because that takes a little bit of time, and I'll be right back with you guys. Hi, so we have our sifted flour, and now we are going to add it into our dough mixture, which we're going to do in 3 separate additions, just to make sure that no clumps are in there and that it's all nice and even. That's how we're going to do this. So, take the flour and you add it into your dough. Welcome back. We have mixed our flour into our dough, and now we have one last thing to add, and that is the chocolate chips.
Chocolate chips!
Okay. We're going to add our chocolate chips to our dough mixture and then start mixing them in. You want to make sure they get evenly distributed throughout the dough. And I'm actually going to stand up because it's harder to mix sitting down than I thought. Mix it into the dough. You can use any brand of chocolate chip you'd like. Preferably you want to go with a high-grade chocolate, semi-sweet or milk, because that is how, growing up, at least for me, I ate my chocolate chip cookies. But I could definitely say you can do dark chocolate or even white chocolate chip. Alright. Now, that looks like my grandma used to make them. Alright. Now, we're going to take the spoon and portion out our dough onto our cookie sheet. Now, you want to make sure that they're not too big so that they don't take too long to bake, and you want to make sure they're all evenly sized. Also, leave room for spread on your cookie sheet. That way, they do not collide into each other and make one giant mass cookie. If you want to make a giant mass cookie, I recommend using a cake pan. Now, here's a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back with you.
Those days when you just sitting at home chopping away. I know what you need. A little bit of salt. More than salt. More than salt. Salt, 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 salt. chocolate chips.
Alright, so now your cookies are cooled and everything is good to go, and we have them plated up nicely for you to put out at a family party or just to have on the table or in your cookie jar to eat at home, because they are more delicious and more nutritious than anything you can buy from the store. So go ahead, take one, have a bite to eat, and enjoy. And thank you for watching.
More than salt, salt, chocolate chips.